What is up, everybody? Back with another really cool top 10, and I have an awesome guest here with me today, Mr. Nick Franco from Sea of Tranquility and CrypticRock.com. Thanks a lot for coming on here, Nick. How's it going?
It's good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Big fan of your channel, and I'm excited to take part in this. This is cool. Thank you.
Sick. So, as you guys can see in the title of the video, we're going to be giving our top 10 favorite debut black metal albums. The only stipulation I have in place for this is the band has to have more than one album. So, like Winterland is disqualified from being in this list. But everything else is on the table. And without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it. Nick, you can start us off with your number 10.
All right. So this was agonizing to do, as they often are, these lists. And, with black metal, I was like, I could sit here and, we could try and do like what we think the most important ones are, or just our personal favorites. And I tried to weigh a little bit of both, and I tried to, for the most part, go with like the earlier something came out within the framework of black metal, maybe ups it a little bit for me. If it was a band that did something like in the really early days before there was a lot around it. So, without further ado, I'm going to go with something that might surprise some people, but I'm going with Cradle of Filth's Principle of Evil Made Flesh. I think this album is, the band took a lot of heat for getting too commercial, but to me, I have no problem including this. The song itself, Principle of Evil Made Flesh, The Forest Whispers My Name, these are absolute filthy fucking gems of black metal.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved it. And I think, Danny Filth was a pen pal of Euronymous, and he was around since the beginning. And I think that the speed and fury and just his voice, I have no problem including. This is one hell of a debut, Principle of Evil, but 1993, I think.
94.
94, yeah.
Yeah.
Year I graduated high school, I should know. Yeah, so that's awesome. My number 10.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a great album, and love Cradle of Filth as well. But for my number 10, this one might be kind of surprising being this low, but I'm going to go with In the Nightside Eclipse by Emperor, and it's actually the 27th anniversary of this album on the day right now we're recording it. So, of course, Isan's a master, great musician, the whole band on freaking fire at this point. And the album cover of this kind of captures what you're going to hear, very dark, eerie, ominous stuff. That's symphonic. It's symphonic black metal, but it's not cheesy at all. Still sounds very dark and awesome. A couple of my standout tracks I've got written down here are I Am the Black Wizards for sure, Cosmic Keys to My Creations and Times, Into the Infinity of Thoughts, the opening song, which is fantastic. Just overall great album. Emperor, number 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that. And
we
may hear about that one.
Yeah. I had a feeling it might be up on your list. Higher.
Yeah, and I also tried not to stay like completely in Norway because I just, I'll go out there and say I do believe that black metal is a uniquely Scandinavian thing, and I do think that Norway really, it seems cliche and everything, Norway, but there's a reason for that, man. That's the cradle of all of it, and so it'll pop up in my next choice, my number 9, which I don't have a physical copy of because I don't know, I can't get my hands on one. But the band Ancient. Again, they got a little in their later output. They kind of lost me, but their first album, Svartalfheim, came out in '94. To me that the grooves on that album are just gross. They're just fucking so like they just get you into that black metal atmosphere. I think it's a very underrated album. The cover is the guy, blowing fire, like the typical, Norwegian black metal, nighttime in the snow kind of thing. But I think that album really, really doesn't get looked at enough. And standout track, Det Glemte Riket, really all of it. You can't go wrong with it. A lot of the titles are in Norwegian, but I think that Ancient, that album to me, that really captured at an early time the feeling of black metal, the absolute feeling of it.
Yeah, that's a great album, and you might be hearing about that on my list in a bit. But so number 9 for me, I'm going to go with Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism, the debut from Immortal. Great stuff here. At this time, the band was 3-piece. They had Armageddon on the drums. This was the only album that he was with them, and of course Demon Az and Abath, who were like the 2 main guys of the band. This one I think is easily their like darkest and most evil sounding album. I love most of their stuff, but this one definitely takes the cake for that in my opinion. And looking at some of these songs, Unholy Forces of Evil is amazing. Cryptic Winter Storms I love. Cold Winds of Funeral Dust, just amazing riffs all over the album. Awesome stuff. Yeah, Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism, number 9.
Yeah, that could be on my list. It should be on my list. I'm going to say right here it's not. I don't. I just ran out of choice. I just had so few. You know how it is, man. But that album, that album's incredible, incredible, incredible album. Can't go wrong with that. Blacker Than Darkness is such a cool song.
Mhm.
So my number 8, I'm kind of going a little off the grid, and I know I was saying before that the earliness of how stuff came out, of what year stuff came out mattered to me, but it not doesn't always matter. And I'm actually going with an all-female black metal group from the Netherlands called Assagram. You know this band?
I think I might have heard some of it. I'll have to re-listen to it.
Yeah, the debut is Potestas Magicum Diaboli, and
So that's pretty recent.
yeah. This
Okay, yeah.
I meant to write down the year. It's actually very recent. I'm going to say, God, within the past 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and their main composer, Obscura, she's been involved in a lot of music, for going back years. But this, it's second wave black metal. There's something it's her voice, it's the atmosphere, it's the riffing. It's there's Black Sun Prayer is probably like the best song on the album. It definitely takes you right into the fucking jaws of Lucifer. I mean, it's so good that I mean, as a debut, I'm like, wow, everything was firing on all cylinders. There isn't a moment on the album that lags. It's just incredible. And I almost put Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult in this place, but I'm gonna give the nod to Assagram, to the younger band here, because they just get it. They just fucking get it. I saw them corpse paint the whole thing. They fucking just capture it on stage as well, and they're amazing. Cool. Assagram gets my number 8.
Awesome. So with my number 8, I'm going to go with a band that I think is super underrated. I put them in my top 5 black metal bands of all time. So this band's also from Norway. My bottom 3 picks here all are from Norway. It's going to be the band Gehenna with Seen Through the Veils of Darkness, The Second Spell. Now, there is a First Spell EP. A lot of people kind of consider that to be the debut, but it's technically an EP. So this is the debut full length. And, it mixes the kind of symphonic style, but also very brutal and heavy at the same time. Very evil sounding, dark, awesome stuff. Some standout tracks, I would say, are Lord of the Flies, which is freaking awesome. What else I got here? This stuff's kind of hard to pronounce, but like Sherrick Canum, Witches Born, Mystical Play of Shadows, Myth. Top to bottom, really good, consistent album. Great, classic, underrated Norwegian black metal here. Second Spell by Gehenna.
Fantastic choice, and one that I deeply considered because I love it as well. Awesome. Cool. My number 7, going back to Norway. And this is an album, and I got this like almost pretty much the year it came out, from the label Century Black from Century Media. Arcturus, Asperheim Symphonia. This is just, such an important album. I love the CD, like, on that version. It's such an important album because it absolutely takes the symphonic elements and mixes them with that real, just raw screams. And you got Sverd on keyboards, you got Hellhammer on drums, and Garm's vocal, absolute crushing screams, but also those like choruses. I think that black metal is done best when it is what's the word, like arrogant, okay. And there was such like an arrogance. They were so young, but they just had such a grasp on music that I just, oh man. The green classic cover, like I just Arcturus, baby, that one. Asperheim Symphonia.
Sweet. Cool. So my number 7 is going to be one you already talked about. It's going to be Svartalfheim by Ancient. Love this band as well. I think they're super underrated. Had them in my top 10 black metal bands video a little while back. As you said, just it's super dark and evil sounding. And of course, after this, they got a little bit more melodic, but still very nice melodies on this album. The riffs are awesome. Trumps of an Archangel, the opening song, is amazing. Call of Absolute Deep, Lickford, Just top to bottom, love this album. Svartalfheim, Ancients, my number 7.
And Eerily Howling Winds, another great
Yeah.
one on there. Phenomenal. Good choice. Um, so my number 6, I'm going over to France because their scene has to be included as very important to black metal. And I think the first Bludos Nord album, Ultima Thule, is something I got to say, like the guitar tone on that album. Vinsval is the main composer there, and they branched into many different. They went into like ambient stuff. They went into like all kinds of stuff. But that first album, 1995, Ultima Thule, they really captured the real zeitgeist of black metal on that album. Just the whole thing, and they go into some like ambient sections, which I do like. The keyboard, and then the music drops out, and then it comes back just as heavy. And I think they captured the dynamics of that style and advanced black metal without a doubt. So Ultima Thule.
Sweet. So with my number 6, this one's kind of like probably the most obscure one on my list. It's going to be Toward the Castle by the band Fear of Eternity. Now, this is a one-man atmospheric black metal band from Italy. Andrea Tonelli is the man behind it. Awesome musician. A lot of this is very keyboard heavy, and usually I'm not super into like atmospheric black metal, but this, just the melodies with the keyboards and stuff are super awesome. It's got a way of sounding, very dark and evil, but also like very beautiful and freaking epic at the same time. Just very cool stuff. Some of the standout tracks I would recommend are Flying Over the Mountains for sure, and the title track, but awesome from top to bottom. Great stuff. Fear of Eternity, Toward the Castle, number 6.
Wow, cool. I got to check that out. That's pretty awesome. So for number 5, I wore the shirt. I think that Campfire was super important for the folk aspect in black metal. I think is so important and something I love. And they captured it on their debut album, Melom Skogleda Asur. That's going to be my pronunciation of it. This is an album that just, it's got the rawness that you want. Dolk's vocals are just ripping, shredding, kind of thing. But the melodies, the guitar riffs, it really captured that folk aspect. And I think they just absolutely killed it on that one. What a debut. I mean, I can't imagine hearing that at that time for the first time. And if you could see the shirt, the ice and snow, the Norwegian countryside, so important to black metal from that region, of course. I'd say him, Bukerford, and Kled I Brynja og Smikit Blodorm.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Thanks. I actually want to take Norwegian. It's a bit, just so I know what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah.
But those are my standout tracks there. What an album. Campfire.
Awesome. Cool.
Thanks.
So with my number 5, I'm going to jump over to Poland. The first album, of course, from Mgła called Graza. This band, I see a lot of people kind of saying this one's like their worst, but honestly, I think this one is their best in my opinion. Just the melodies and riffs all over it are freaking fantastic. Very mesmerizing, hypnotic stuff, super long songs that are just awesome. And of course, each song, just Graza 1, Graza 2, Graza 3, Graza 4 are the titles for the songs. But the best one I'd say is the opening track, Graza 1, just awesome stuff. And that's my number 5, Mgła, Graza.
Fantastic. They're incredible. And that's a good example of a later band, which is very important. Keep it going. So where are we at here? Number 4?
Yep.
You mentioned it already, in the Nightside Eclipse.
Cool.
By Emperor. Yeah. And you touched on everything. The cover tells you what you're getting, the symphonic, beautiful backdrop of keys and wall of sound. And yeah, I Am the Black Wizards, forget it. One of the most incredible openings to a song in any genre. There's Satana, Cosmic Keys, the whole thing, Towards the Pantheon. Just a beautiful album.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. So with my number 4, I'm going to jump back to, in my opinion, the very beginning of black metal, the Bathory self-titled album. Of course, there's some debate there. I think this is just like the first true black metal album. Basically, I think it's like Slayer, but more evil sounding. Very thrashy. There's some thrash elements there. Hades, Reaper, Sacrifice is my favorite song on the album. Of course, Kortan on vocals and guitar was amazing. And that early Bathory material is all awesome, but I find myself going back to this one the most, and it might be my favorite. Just fantastic album. Battery, number 4.
Oh, that's just where it all started. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible. Um, good choice. Uh, I'm for my number 3. I'm going over to a band that has really divided its fan base in the past, 20 years or so. But I don't think anyone can deny that Satyricon first 3 albums are just untouchable. And Dark Medieval Times as a debut, Jesus Christ. Uh, Recorded in autumn of '93, so came out pretty early in the scene. Satyr and Frost, what a combo! It's a shame that he's turned away from that. Like he's sort of denigrated Satyr, meaning I've read interviews where he's like just denigrated the folk part of their. They did it so well, like they that album just brings you to a dark medieval time,
Yeah.
like
For sure.
whole fucking thing, just whole album, incredible atmosphere. The whole relationship with the folk elements and the black metal parts, they had the perfect, you know, production on that. So I gotta say, Dark Medieval Times to me, I feel comfortable putting that at number 3.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great album. I left it just off my list, I'll say, my honorable mentions. If we had done top 15, definitely would have made it, but good stuff. For my number 3, I'm going to go with Tales from Eternal Dusk, the debut from Dark Fortress. These guys I think are the masters of melodic black metal. They're from Germany. Just all their stuff for the most part is awesome. And this album, just the guitar riffs and melodies are ridiculously good. Pilgrim of the Nightly Spheres, probably my favorite song on it. Twilight Apocalypse is like more of a chaotic freaking thrasher, but awesome stuff. Tales from Eternal Dusk, Dark Fortress, number 3.
I knew you would put Dark Fortress on there. I know you love them. I love them too. I mean, they're incredible. That's a great choice. So now in the top 2, I'm sure I'm going to get comments about just being like basically Norway. But I said I can't. This is just where we're at. So I thought about putting this number 1, but I have it number 2, and whatever. It's all opinion, right? But De Mysteriis Dom Satanas by Mayhem. I mean, what can you say? Even though they'd been at it for a long time and different vocalists and whatnot, getting Attila puts this over the top. Freezing Moon and Funeral Fog. My God, Buried by Time and Dust, the title track. It probably is the greatest expression of the style. And to have it as your debut album, that's pretty incredible. And the fact that there's so much demand for them to play it today. But yeah, Mayhem's Attila Varg, Euronymous Hellhammer, Jesus. Wow, what can you say? Everything on this album, everything about it is just perfect. There's nothing flaw. There's no flaw you can mention. The Mysterious Dom Satanas. So
cool, sweet. So as I said before we started recording here, my top 2, I wasn't even sure which one I was going to put at number 1 here until like right now. But for number 2, I'm going to go with Somberland by Dissection. Pretty much the gold standard for melodic black metal, in my opinion. From Sweden, great stuff, of course. John Notveit, however his name's pronounced, was a great musician. Freaking the whole band was on fire at this point. Black Horizons, the title track, which is probably my favorite song by them. Either that or actually In the Cold Winds of Nowhere. Love that song as well. But overall, top to bottom, amazing album. Somberland, my number 2.
That's excellent. Storm of the Lightsbane was probably the first pure black metal album I ever acquired, and I have such a personal relationship with that album. But Somberland is, that's a great choice. Good for you. Number 1. Now, this is more of a recent revelation in my life, but for some reason, the album Pentagram by Gorgoroth. I don't know. The past few years, I've come to realize that it's a short album. I don't think I've ever heard a more pure, animalistic, enraged, just fist in the face of everything performance than that of Hat, the vocalist for this. It starts with Bergrevel Cessnat. That goddamn song. I mean, I don't know. I run out of words to describe things. Under the Pagan Megalith, Crushing the Scepter. I think that Gorgoroth, they've had some amazing moments after this, but I think this debut, Pentagram, I mean, it came out in October of '94. The Greg Holland studio production. They just hit the vicious hatred of black metal so squarely with this album. So I have to say that it's right now for me, it's the most poignant expression of black metal as a debut
Mhm.
that I've ever heard right now.
Awesome. So with my number one, I'm gonna go with the band, like you said, kind of like a recent thing for you, Inquisition into the Infernal Regions of the Ancient Cult. Absolutely love this band. Like the last, originally, honestly, like a year or so ago, when I like first tried listening to them, didn't love them, but then as I started to get like liking more extreme stuff, went back to them and absolutely love them now. They're my favorite black metal band, and this album is amazing. Of course, it mixes the like very raw, chaotic, thrashy type of stuff with more melodic, very dark, atmospheric type of stuff. The kind of like spoken word intros and interludes, I think, are really cool. Helps add to that really dark, ritualistic atmosphere. And as far as key songs go, Unholy Magic Attack, Those of the Night, The Initiation, the title track is a really freaking awesome one. I love the final song as well, Hail the Cult, which is just guitar and vocals, but it sounds super like full and awesome. And of course, Dagon on vocals and guitar. His riffs and tone are amazing. His voice can take some getting used to, but I think it's really unique and fits the music pretty well. And of course, Incubus on the drums, I think, is one of the best drummers in black metal. Dude's a machine. But yeah, just absolutely love this album, Into the Infernal Regions of the Ancient Cult, my number one debut black metal album. And yeah.
You know, I barely kept that off this list because, yeah, you're right. And the more you're talking about it, you're right. I mean, and the first three songs on that, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah, they're incredible. I've gotten to see them live a number of times, and every time it was mesmerizing. And you hit it right on the head. His drumming is just almost unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great choice.
Awesome. Thank you. And you got some honorable mentions you want to run through real quick before we finish up?
Oh my God. Yeah. Basically, your list could be an honorable mention. But Immortal Inquisition, um, Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult, Follow the Calls for Battle. I think that one I barely kept off this list. Viking Liger Veldi by Enslaved almost got mentioned. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many. You know, I wanted to put some Finnish bands on here. I got to say that the debuts by Horna and Sargeist and Behexen, the you know, like you said, if this was a top 15 or 20, those would have made an appearance. They're incredible albums as well. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of honorable mentions as well. I'll just list the bands off. The band on my shirt here, First Dark Funeral album, I like a lot. This is actually Secrets of the Black Arts. As you said, some of the ones you had, Satyricon, Mayhem, Cradle of Filth, like all those a lot. The first Toolus album, I like a lot. First Enslaved album is pretty good as well, I think. Unchain the Wolves by Destroyer 666, Vitra by Naglfar, 1349, Grafitner's first album. Burzum's first album's all right. Knapford by Ragnarok, I like a lot. That's a cool, underrated band. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to run through. And yeah, dude, thanks a lot for coming on and doing this. It was great.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to some more with you, hopefully. And this was awesome. Thank you.
Very cool, for sure. We'll have to do it. And everybody, thank you for watching. Let us know your list in the comments. Let us know what you thought. And until next time.